here is an example of a template developed for a company working in South Africa. It's a Mediterranean climate, and we start a new project in this environment. The first thing to notice is that staff members of this particular design consultancy, the owners encourage the staff to run through a checklist, a design checklist, and there are some questions here which spark a re-look at the design. Does the plant schedule contain all the required information, have tree protection, maintenance, and so on? All of these questions can stimulate an improvement in the actual design. If I select, for example, this piece of text, notice that it's on a layer called L def points, and if we go to our layers, quite a lot of layers in the drawing, one called plant construction is turned off, but the def points layer, if we come across here, look carefully, notice the printer with a no print sign through it, and that means that all of the information, the dashed lines you see here and the text, when we go to print this drawing, they will not print. So it's simply there as a guide as to how you might work. Even the little different line types here are also on that line, so that if during the development of this design we wanted to use some of these line types, we'd have to bring it from the non-printing layer to the working layer, and the working layer here is layer 0. So if I wanted to use these hatch patterns that are here, I grab all of those and change them from the def points layer back onto layer 0, and I might well do the same here, grab all of those and pick 0. The way I'm grabbing those is what's called a crossing window. I'm just clicking down here and I'll come like so, and that picks the bottom 3. I could pick the top 3 or top 2 in by picking top, left and down. So the key piece of information here when you start, or when you're talking to your design team, is if the site would fit, or you would prefer it to be in a landscape presentation, you develop the site in this area here on the bottom left, and if it might be a long narrow site, and this dotted line here represents a long site that's roughly 45 meters by 80 meters deep. These sizes are not fixed, but you can play with any size you want. The clear and important information to convey is that everything when you're designing is full size. Now I have a little design here and I've brought it into this environment, so it looks to me as though it will fit nicely in a landscape. So I've picked it, now I'm going to move it, and I'll move the design down into this area here at the bottom of what is a landscape size sheet. It's not a very big design, so it doesn't take up much of the area. The important thing to when working this way is that if I want to look at that design as it might be seen by a client, I click on a layout and the design appears in the middle of what's called a floating viewport, and in order to change the magnification of the view, I just double click, move this magenta box around and display on the layout. So here everything's drawn full size. If I go into the model and I say how wide is this driveway, I could say distance, and I could jump to the end of that line there, jump to the end here, and I get 5639, so near enough to 5.64 meters is, and we've got a little indicator here of a vehicle. If we want a more elaborate indicator for a vehicle, you could go to library details, scroll down to vehicles, and maybe pick a filled, more modern looking SUV and put it in, click on it and then rotate it like so, and then move it into position. So we'll eliminate this one. I just select it, right click and erase. Let's move this one in, and it sits nicely in the driveway. So everything is full size. Every one of these symbols that is here represents a particular plant species. So if I pick this one here, notice down in the species tag area, it's a Xanthorrhea, and the north indicator is there. So if we go back to our landscape view, you can see our design is taking place rather nicely. We might want to move things around even on this sheet, and to do that, just come back here. I would be inclined, these are some spare symbols, I'd be inclined to probably remove those, and maybe move the plant schedule away, and maybe add a whole series of images of species used in the design. Notice how, because this is a template, the information on the drawing sheet, this is an A2 sheet now, so it's seeing, of course, some of those symbols up there. I can change independently of the first time when we did that. I can display that one on the sheet, and if I click here, notice that the view scale there is 64. If you wanted a fixed scale, you could do so. I'll change that to a scale of 50, but notice how it doesn't fit neatly onto the page, but you can shift things around like so. I'll just change that now back to, say, no, I won't change it. I'll just double click in here and position my box so I encompass the whole of the design and display on the layout, and we might bring our box back like so, and I'll double click again. I'm just fine-tuning things. I want to make sure that everything on the site is displayed at maximum resolution, maximum view, if you like, for the site. I'm relatively happy with that. You could tweak it further, but that's on an A2 sheet, and it's a view scale of 43. And if we wanted a fixed scale of, say, 50, we could do that, and then we could say fixed scale 50. So we could come in here now if we wanted to and edit this site information and change that. But I hope you can see that using this system of developing a template and having a whole series of non-printing questions and information on the sheet, as we've done here, we've produced a design quite quickly, and everything's full size. The dimensions are, in fact, in this drawing, I think. No, they are not. But we could apply some dimensioning if we wanted to. So we're in the model here now, and if we wanted to put dimensions in, the dimensions are taken from the model. We don't overtype them. So let's have a linear dimension from one side of the driveway to the other, and we do that. Can you see the dimensions appear? 5639. We're working in millimeters here, so we can repeat that dim linear dimension and show the dimension. From here I'm using O snaps, or entity snaps, to jump like so. Now you can change the display of that dimension quite easily by just tweaking the settings in the dimension style. This is in a style called standard. There are a lot of other styles there, but maybe we want the text to be just a little larger. Let's make it 175, and we will OK it. The text jumps up in size, and we could do the same with the arrowhead. So I hope what I'm trying to do here is to show you the value of working with a template with your designers, so you can produce designs for clients relatively quickly. There is a, if we come back into the model and we click over here, that's a plant schedule that's been drawn, and I'll unselect, or been drawn by the automatic plant schedule tool down here, which I don't think we need to go into at this stage. This demonstration is trying to convince people to use templates in building all of your new jobs.